Hey, what's up guys, it's Nick2. Today I'm going to be showing you guys my current best DPS build, pretty much just for dishing out as much damage as humanly possible. As you can see, the build does a ton of damage, although it does lack a little bit in survivability. Talk about that more in the video. This build will work with pretty much any weapon that you want, you just need to interchange a couple pieces. But if you want to see builds for other types of weapons, please let me know down in the comments below. And of course there will be a ton of gameplay towards the end of the video. Now before I get into the video, I'd like to thank Raid Shadow Legends for supporting this channel. Raid Shadow Legends is a free-to-play dark fantasy RPG game that is not only a mobile game, but it is also now downloadable on PC. I can play from the comfort of my own bed and then continue my raids on my computer because of the newly added cross-platform feature. Check out my Shaman and my Archer champions and look how great the graphics are on PC. I've actually played enough to get my Shaman to 17 and my Archer to level 10. And I'm really enjoying the gameplay right now. It's a lot of fun to play it while I'm doing other things, like when I'm in queue in WoW or when I'm waiting for the Division servers to actually go up. Also, the highly anticipated Battle Pass has just come out, and Season 1 is live, and now you can win awesome rewards including free energy refills, gems, upgraded artifact sets, and new epic and legendary champions by fulfilling the daily and weekly challenges. So go ahead and download the game, go to the links in my description box, and if you're a new player, you can get 100,000 silver and a free champion, the Hexweaver, which is really cool. You'll find extra rewards here in your inbox for the next 30 days as well. Alright, there's a few things that I would like to say before getting into it. I myself hate waiting for videos to start, so I'm just going to try to plow through it, but there are some things that I need to say that are important. One of which, hey, please follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Nick2. I stream all the time. You can watch me make builds, you can farm with me, anything like that. I just love having more people hanging around and stuff like that. And if anybody needs help making a build themselves, maybe leveling up to level 40, farming for a build, anything like that, please email me at nick2biz@gmail.com. Also, this is just the build that I've come up with in the last few days. Things are subject to change. There's balancing changes happening all of the time, and there are a lot of things that we have not yet acquired, and my build is definitely not best in slot. There are a lot of things that I'd like to change, and I'll probably make an updated build video in a little bit. This is just what I'm using right now, so you guys at least have an idea of what to farm for, and I'm pretty sure this is probably close to as good as you're going to get, but if things change, then they change, and then I'll have a different build. So I forgot to mention, I'm doing a giveaway over on Twitter for 5 Warlords of New York DLC codes, so if you're interested in that, check the link down in the description. First off, we're going to start with the specialization. I am currently running the gunner. If you're using any full auto weapon, this is pretty much going to be your best bet, because on kill you get 5% rate fire, which is very good. You generate ammo, so you pretty much never have to worry about ammo. That's really not a thing anyway, but that's nice. And then it's nice to have weapon handling when you're not moving. That's very good for LMGs especially, but very good for ARs as well. And then you also get 10% armor on kill, and then every third reload is 50% faster. This is particularly good when using LMGs, which is what we're using. And the armor kit is overall just better than a normal armor kit. Plus, the minigun actually does pretty decent damage now. I don't even have mine completely upgraded because I'm lazy, and it still does very good damage. If you want to use a sniper or something, you can definitely do that. I would just run a different specialization, such as sharpshooter or something. And if you want to use a different one, go for it. You're not going to miss out on a lot. It's just gunner is typically the best one, but the differences aren't that substantial. So first off, I guess we'll just talk about weapons, and then I'll go into individual roles that you want on your gear and the brand sets and stuff like that. So first off, we're going to talk about the guns. So I'm using the Iwi Negev. Currently it's overtuned, and it's actually getting nerfed tomorrow by 50%. So I don't know what that's going to look like, but the base damage I'm pretty sure is just going to tank. I'm going to have to do some math, but I'm pretty sure that what's going to happen is that the Negev won't be worth using anymore, and you'll instead use the MG5. I still think the LMGs are going to be the best because the MG5 is very good. The thing about the MG5 is that its base damage and RPM are very similar to that of the Negev, although the mag size is smaller, but the MG5 has 25% more headshot damage built into it, which is kind of weird, but yeah, so once the Negev gets nerfed, you'll probably just run the MG5 instead. If you want to use an AR, I would recommend the FAMAS. For other guns, I have not done the math on all of them, but those are what I know of so far. In terms of the rolls that you want on your gun, if you're using an LMG, it's always going to roll with LMG damage and damage targets out of cover, so try to just craft and get a decent roll here. And the same thing goes for ARs as well in the attributes. You just want crit chance. The thing about crit chance is that when it rolls on the weapon, you can get it as a higher roll than it would be compared to other pieces of gear. I don't know why, but for example, on the weapon, you can roll 10% headshot damage, right? Or you could roll, I believe, 9% crit chance is what it caps out at. I'm not 100%, but it looks like it would cap out at 9. But ordinarily, on a chest piece or something, if you were to get a crit chance roll, the max is 5.5, and then the max for headshot is still 10%. So you're just getting more bang for your buck, essentially, on getting your crit chance on the weapon. So you 100% want to get crit chance there. Rate of fire is a second alternative that is pretty good. You get like 5% rate of fire, but ultimately we're going to be stacking so much crit damage that you'd rather just have the crit chance there, and it's a very high roll where you could otherwise get other rolls on other pieces of gear. In terms of the weapon talents, Strained is currently the best one pretty much for almost every scenario. The way that I look at it is pretty much a flat 30% crit damage buff, but whenever you're killing something where you're shooting for more than 2 seconds at a time, you're doing 50% extra crit damage, and if you have 50% crit chance minimum, that's 25% flat damage, and I'm even running a little bit more than that. So you're getting a lot of crit damage pretty much for free from that, and it works very consistently. Another good talent is Killer. I don't know if I don't have one in my inventory, but you get 40% crit damage after you kill something with a crit for 10 seconds. So Killer's pretty good, but it's only good if you're running 60% crit chance or at least 50, so that you get the proc more often. But it's probably only good in solo environments. In group environments, you're probably not going to be getting the kill yourself that many times, therefore not being able to proc that as much. For another talent, Breadbasket is really good. If you don't have that much crit, you can use this in place of that. Landing body shots adds a stack of 35% headshot damage to the next headshot for 10 seconds. Max stack is 3. I don't want to talk about this too much, but pretty much even if you have the best aim in the game, you're still going to be inadvertently hitting body shots, therefore buffing your next headshot. So the way that I look at it is just flat extra headshot damage. There are some instances in which you're not going to be able to fully take advantage of this, but I mean, it's still a very good buff. None of the other talents are particularly good. Close and personal is too situational and puts you at too much risk. And there's really nothing else that's that impressive. I would really just try to get some crit and go for Strained. That's kind of like the default choice at this point. One thing I forgot to mention about talents is that Fast Hands is particularly good. It pretty much makes it to where every crit that you land, it increases your reload speed up to a maximum of 80%, meaning that you can reload very reliably, very quickly. I used to use this, but because the reload time on the Negev and the MG5 is so long, the reason that I don't use it anymore is because I'd rather just have the pure damage. And the way that I look at it is, I keep saying that, but if I have 2 Negevs, which is what I've been doing recently, the mag is 150. If I shoot 150 bullets, usually everything in sight is going to be dead by that point, and if it for some reason isn't, I'll just swap to my other Negev, and then everything will be dead, and then I'll just reload whenever there's downtime. There's pretty much never a scenario when having 2 Negevs where I shoot all the bullets of all of them, and then there's more enemies coming. Usually, you just kill everything in that period of time. There's another thing that you can do. I'll talk about knee pads in a little bit, but I'm not using these knee pads at the moment, but you can use these. They're exotic knee pads. Pretty much whenever you do cover to cover or you vault, it's going to instantly reload your weapon. So this is good if you don't like having to reload and stuff. I just got a Twitch follow. Thank you very much. Pretty much it just instantly reloads for you, so that's pretty nice. Although I just rather have pure damage, and it kind of puts you in a weird situation sometimes because you'll vault out of cover to instantly reload, and then you'll just get shot and die. So I think the safer bet is to just not go for this and then just deal with the long reload time. But long reload time really isn't that bad, especially when you're running the gunner tree. Alright, sorry about that. Let's finish on. Killer okay if you're solo, and Breadbasket, of course, is really good too. In terms of the weapon mods, pretty much the same thing for every gun type. The only difference with LMGs is that on the Negev or the MG5, you want at least 1 accuracy mod. This might seem a little bit ridiculous because you want to be going for damage, right? But the way that I look at it is, accuracy reduces the tightness of or it makes your spread tighter. So like normally you'll have like a box like this, and then giving more accuracy makes the box a little smaller, and it makes it to where the spread tightens way faster, therefore being able to letting you land more shots more consistently more often, which means more damage. There's no better DPS boost than being able to hit more of your shots. It doesn't matter if you have 1,000,000% weapon damage if you can't hit more shots. So that's why I go into a little bit into accuracy, and then the rest of them you just want crit chance. The crit chance and crit damage rolls are the same here, so you just always want to go crit chance there. And then for the mag, we just have 50 rounds. For an AR, I would just go 30 rounds as well, and there you go. Or I believe it's 20 rounds for an AR. So that's it for the weapons. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to gear and what you want to roll on your gear. First off, let's talk about armor. So I obviously have absolutely no armor, and I'm the devil with 666.6 at the moment, but I don't know if it's worth to stack armor or not. I've done a little bit of testing, stacking a little bit of armor, and it doesn't make too big of a difference. If you're not feeling comfortable, you can very easily just swap the core attributes on like 2 or 3 pieces of gear, and instead just run like, you know, about 400k extra armor, and then you're probably going to feel fine. But for right now, I'm just running, you know, completely glass cannon. And also I'd like to mention, a lot of my pieces could be way better. I wish they were better for this video. I tried, but I just wanted to get this video out there for you guys. So, all right, here we go. We'll just talk about the attributes, and then I'll go into brand sets, and then I'll talk about named items that you want. And yeah, so you pretty much want to run an all high-end build. Running anything with gear sets makes it to where you lose an additional attribute, and none of the gear sets mathematically turn out to be better than just running an all high-end build. I talked more about that in my other video, so I'll leave a link to that. But pretty much you just want to run an all high-end build because the brand sets are really good, and then you just want to stack as much crit damage and crit chance as humanly possible. There is a happy middle ground where you can swap out a little bit of crit chance / crit damage for headshot damage, and it'd be a little bit more beneficial for you. But if you don't hit at least 70% of your shots as headshots, it's probably not worth it to do, and it's much more consistent to just stack all the way into crit damage and crit chance. So that's pretty much what I did. I just literally crit damage, crit chance, headshot damage everywhere that I could. With my mods, I put crit chance in, crit chance, crit damage, crit chance, crit damage. So that's pretty much all you want to do, and then you want to do the exact same thing with your brand sets. So for the brand sets that I'm using 2-piece Providence for 10 headshot and 10 crit chance. You could also use 3-piece if you don't have the other pieces, because 15% crit damage is very good as well. And then I'm using 1-piece Sombra for 15 crit damage, and then I'm using 1-piece Seska for 10 crit chance, and then I'm using 2 other pieces. So 1 piece is the named high-end Petrov gloves. These give you 10% LMG damage, which is very strong. But other than the 1 set bonus, you get an additional attribute that is specific to the named item, which gives you 11% damage to armor, which is very strong. Although you are missing out on a little bit of crit chance as a result of getting this damage to armor, but it's worth it in my opinion. If you're trying to get this, I would recommend just going into any area that is targeted loot for Petrov, and then I would just farm out that area. And then for the next piece, you might be like, why in the world are you running Overlord gloves? Well, or Overlord knee pads. These are named, and these give you 15% damage to target out of cover as their special attribute, and that's absolutely insane. It's not that big of a difference, though, versus running, like, ideally, if I didn't have these, I would just pick up a 3rd piece of Providence, and then I gain 15 crit damage, and then instead of having the damage to targets out of cover, I would have another 12% crit damage roll right here, and then that would give me 27% crit damage, and then if you assume that I had 50% crit chance, that's 13% flat additional damage that I would essentially be gaining from that crit. So really not that big of a difference there, although getting these is really easy if you just farm any place that has, you know, Overlord as the named or as the targeted loot. Doesn't take that long to get, and it's a little bit harder to make the perfect build with all the high-end pieces. There is another mask that people talk about that they say is really good. It's I believe it is a YALL Mask, and the YALL gives you, I think it's hazard protection, and it gives you 21% damage to health. Now, this is good, but I don't think it is worth running. The reason I don't think it's worth running is because, 1, you're giving up a good brand set. So if I were to run a YALL, I would pretty much, let's just say that I got rid of this Providence mask, I'd be getting rid of crit chance. Or if I got rid of my Seska, getting rid of crit chance, or got rid of my Sombra, getting rid of crit damage. So you're already losing out on one thing, and then the next thing you're losing out on is you're swapping a damage attribute for damage to health. So you're losing, let's just say that I was losing crit damage, so I'd be losing, we'll say that I lose 15% crit damage from Sombra, right? Let's say that I swapped out Sombra. So then I lose 15% crit damage from Sombra, and then I lose another 12% from there. So again, that's 27% again. Plus, the YALL Mask has a tendency to not roll with all reds. It's kind of hard to get it to roll with all reds, if that's even possible. The only way that I've seen it is roll with yellows and blues. And if you're losing another red, that, let's say, headshot damage or crit chance, that's even more not worth it. And let's just talk about damage to health in general. Damage to health is not that good because the majority of the time when you're killing things that are like tanky, you don't care about their health. You care about their armor. Once their armor's gone, they just die, right? Getting extra damage to health I don't think is at all worth it, especially when crit damage is what you're giving up on, and crit damage is literally just flat damage that applies to everything, while damage to health is very circumstantial, and that 20% literally gets mathematically outdone just by having all the crit damage. The way I look at it is you're just giving up 3 red attributes. It is not worth 3 red attributes for 21% damage to health at all. and especially if I had to swap out for crit chance. I definitely don't want to lose crit chance, so I don't think the damage to health mask is worth going for at all. If you want to run that, up to you. You'll have big damage numbers when you get things low HP, but when they're low HP, they're low HP. They're just going to fall over and die, so you don't really want to stack damage that way. So in terms of talents, there's only a talent on the backpack and the chest. So on the backpack, there are 3 talents that are pretty good. There's Unstoppable Force, which is really good in solo because it just constantly stacks up weapon damage. You can get 25% weapon damage pretty much all the time. There's another talent, I don't have any of them. Oh, Composure is actually pretty good. I forgot about Composure. Composure, while in cover, increases total weapon damage by 15%. That's okay because it's not as much weapon damage as the other ones, but hey, I mean, 15% weapon damage all the time when you're in cover. Pretty consistent way to get it. That's not too bad, actually. I completely forgot that existed, so that's kind of a pleasant surprise. Another one that's good is Vigilance. Pretty much, you get 20% weapon damage. It's either, I think it's 25% weapon damage. Can I just inspect somebody in my clan? We'll just do that to show you guys because I don't have shit in my inventory. Okay, my clan's bugged out. Pretty much, you just get 25% weapon damage whenever you have not been damaged for the last 4 seconds. It's pretty good, although you can't get that 100% of the time because sometimes you're just going to take damage and there's nothing you can do about it, and then you're losing, damage for 4 seconds. You could make the argument that that's better than Unstoppable Force, but hey, whatever. And then another good one is Concussion, which gives you 10% weapon damage for every 1.5 seconds after you land a headshot, and then another 15% weapon damage after you get a kill with a headshot, and I think that lasts for 10 seconds. So Concussion's pretty good for playing in group content, although you need to constantly be landing headshots for that buff to be rolling. So there's kind of weird consistencies and inconsistencies with each of the talents, and they're all situational in their own way. Any of them are going to probably end up evening out towards around the same amount of number of damage, even with Composure as well, if you're making sure to stay in cover. Unstoppable Force, I think, is a pretty safe bet, especially because I play a lot of solo content, but yeah. In terms of the chest talent, my chest is absolute garbage. I would like a better one because the headshot damage roll is kind of low here. But other than that, yeah, I don't have a good talent. So a good talent is Obliterate. Crits increase your total weapon damage by 1% for 5 seconds. This is pretty good because you can easily get up to 15% weapon damage, especially while having a huge amount of crit and using a gun with very high RPM. You can just instantly get to this 15% weapon damage buff, and boom, that's a lot of additional damage. Other than that, Intimidate seemed okay, but you need to be within 10 meters. The only other talent that I know that actually increases your damage a significant amount is Glass Cannon, but that makes you, it gives you 25% extra damage. It makes you take 50% extra damage. I don't know how I feel about that because I feel like I'd literally die like that, and I almost feel forced to run a little bit of armor, but if I run armor, then I am just losing damage. So I don't know if I think that that's worth it or not. I think I'd rather just go for Obliterate and just get consistent damage. Other than that, you can get like Entrench or something. Honorable mention, you can get a Providence chest piece that is named that has a talent Perfect Glass Cannon, which makes you take 30%. You do 30% more damage, but you take 60% more damage. So if you want to do that, you can do that, and you'll do way more damage, but you have to be insanely careful with how you're positioning yourself. Other than that, I mean, that's pretty much it. As long as you're just stacking crit damage and crit chance everywhere you can, you're probably going to be fine. At the moment, I'm at 57 crit chance, 106 crit damage, and 96 headshot, 11 armor, and my weapon damage is 115k. I will probably end up ditching a little bit of crit chance here and there to go for a little bit more headshot damage because mathematically that ends up edging it out a little bit. So like on my holster here, I might swap out a little bit of crit chance and get like a max headshot damage roll, and that might be worth it for me. But as long as you're hovering around 50% crit chance, you're more than fine. You don't even need to worry about how much headshot damage you have, because I don't think most people on like console and stuff, not throwing shade at console players, but on console it's harder to hit headshots. So I'd rather just throw my eggs all into one basket and just go full crit damage. It's way more consistent, and it's going to be very close to how much overall damage you would do with headshot damage. I just like seeing big numbers with headshot damage, and personally that's just the way that I like to do things. But yeah, that's pretty much it. In terms of skills, doesn't really matter. I just use the Revive Hive, and I use the Defender Drone. There's some other things that are pretty good, like Decoy, etc. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you'd like to see any other builds, please let me know down in the comments below, and I'll make some other videos in the future talking about what guns are best, especially after this Negev nerf. I'll do a lot of stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace. Here's some gameplay.